Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us.
Okay, let me not assume you know who I am. My name is Helen Higginbotham. I think I've spoken to most of you. I have a group that I do. It's called When Black Women Gather.
Hey, good looking. Time to set the mood for a little AMC.
So then it occurred to me that this was another opportunity to have an intergenerational conversation. But this time, mixed, both genders, all genders, I should say, and mixed race. Because the issue of civil rights, when you're watching this movie, I want you to think about voting. And if you don't vote, or if you do vote, when you watch this movie, you should understand the importance of your vote. And of course, we have voter registration cards for you out front. So handle your business. So the format today is your discussion. We have some feeder questions, of course, but this is your discussion, and we're going to make it roll as you're comfortable with. So the first question that I have, if you just saw a very emotional movie, and I told you when I saw it, the 91-year-old man was very physically affected by it. So I need to know from whoever's comfortable telling us, what is your gut reaction? What are you feeling right now, immediately following the movie? And anybody raise your hand and we'll come to you.
I want to take this opportunity to say thanks to all of those organizations who put this together. This was really great. My name is Roy Dawson. I'm a former superintendent of schools, Camden City, retired. I do want to say this. It is important that we watch these kinds of activities and see these kind of movies, because right at this moment, our Supreme Court is degutting the Voting Rights Act. Right at this moment.
Hey, so my name's Alex Law. I'm here with a bunch of my friends, and my comments and feelings around this movie deals with that idea of friends, and something that Dr. King said, and one of the most powerful statements to me that he's made is that it's not what the enemies say, it's the silence of your friends that you'll remember. And being here today in a room full of people that are committed to this friendship, building a community, it made this viewing experience so much more powerful for me.
Concerning your voting rights, they're taking your rights away by putting laws into place that specifically target African American young males. It's no coincidence that we overpopulate prison systems, because once you get a felony, you can't vote. Who's getting felonies, y'all? It's the young people. They've taken the taste out of your mouth for wanting better for your community, and all you think about is yourselves. Now, that's not an indictment to you young people, because I got 5 kids of my own. The indictment really comes, now this is to the older generation. We've lost the energy to impart unto those that are behind us, or those that may not understand. You get frustrated at the young people for being young people, while at the same time you brag about how long it takes to cook good things. You talk about how I can put a good recipe together and I've got the patience to do this. Well, this is what you need to do. You need to take that same patience, that same understanding, and that meal that you brag about cooking about, we need to invest that into our kids, because they're dying day by day, not because they want to be that way. They don't understand any other way. The society has inundated them with an I mentality. That man lived for a humankind. It wasn't just about black after a while. It was about mankind. If we can educate our people to understand that we got to do this together. 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 It's not about the blacks, the whites, this, that. We're mankind. Humankind. And if we don't help one another along, then we all gonna perish. That's the truth of it. And so let's take the time. When you see a powerful movie like that, young people, open your eyes, ask questions. Don't be so into you that you miss everything else that's going on around you. Because the way that it is set up now, the same way those people were getting beaten and bludgeoned and bullied and intimidated, that's coming for you if you don't wake up. It's slipping away. Everything he fought for, everything he stood for is slipping away. You got to pick up the mantle. The responsibility falls on both generations, old and new.
My name is Carrington, and I felt about the movie it was great because Martin changed the laws that everybody has to be good.
Hello, my name is Malachi Carter. I am 11 years old. This movie made me feel proud to see this movie, so I want to thank my grandma slash Nene. I want to thank her to wake me up at 9 o'clock in the morning to watch this movie.
Thank you too, Nene.
I also want to say that this movie made me feel thankful that Martin Luther King was alive. Because if it wasn't for him, I'll go to Mantua James Mason Tomlin, which is in Gloucester County. If it wasn't for him, I would not have my white friends that are alive today. And his dream is alive.
What I thought about was my grandmother, who was born in a small town called Pittsview, Alabama. And she was born, which is, I think, about 75 miles from northeast of Selma. And she was born right before the turn of the century in 1899 and died in 1986 at the age of 87. And she was part of the second wave of migration of blacks out of the South to the North. So she came to New Jersey in 1943 on a segregated train out of Daytona Beach, Florida, which was called the Silver Line train, which is the train that blacks were allowed to take during that second wave of migration out of the South. So my reaction was what she must have gone through in Pittsview, Alabama, during the Jim Crow South. And I just wondered what her life was like. And my grandmother lived in a home with us here in New Jersey. Back then, grandmothers lived in the home while moms sometimes went out and worked. And my regret is that I didn't get more information about, because she didn't talk a lot about her life. And I never knew any of my grandmother's people. And I just regret that she died, and I didn't get more information about what it was like growing up for her in Pittsview, Alabama.
And you know, let me piggyback on that. That's why we're here, because we're not passing on those stories. And I think when we think about migration, let's not forget that a lot of elderly people came from the South, experienced horrific things, and they came north and they just never talked about it. So I recommend, what's the book? Elizabeth Wilkerson, help me, Warmth of Other Suns, S-U-N. I recommend that you read that book. And also keep in mind that what we saw today is a watered down version. This is, you know, one of my friends wrote on Facebook, so I'm not going to steal her stuff, but she's exactly right. Selma is the nice picture because Martin Luther King and the cameras were there. What happened in Pittsville, Alabama? You know, who knows, where there wasn't anybody there to protect them. So this is only a piece of the story. And if you were affected by what you saw today, just know that it was probably 10 times worse.
I'm from Clarksville, Mississippi, And in Clarksdale, Mississippi, we integrated the high school in 1970. And the policeman told us as children, if you step across this line, you will go to jail. And everything that was in the movie, that they had the dogs, they had the hoses, and I was able to interact with the Freedom Riders who came from this area, Boston, who came from New Jersey, who came from Philadelphia. And I just want to tell the young people here today that in 1970, which is not that very long ago, it's long for you, but not for us, that's when they integrated my high school. And that's when they said, you step across this line, you will go to jail today.
Joyce Carter, I'm from Camden County, born in Kansas City. And my family arrived in Kansas City in 1895. Believe me, Camden was segregated too. They used to call New Jersey the Mississippi of the North, my grandmother told me. And they used to always sit us around and discuss things with us. They were followers of Martin Garden. But the problem we have is, like Earl Graves said, in the Black enterprise that I received, we have become too complacent. We still are going through some things. And you mentioned Camden. I'm at the board meeting all the time. And I live in Voorhees, which used to be Voorhees Township. But you know, they built up everything like Cherry Hill, Pennsylvania, Delaware Township. But however, we need to get off our butts and get involved. I don't care where you live. And you go up there and get to the mic. It should be African American History Month. When I was in the classroom, I taught it for the whole year. Okay, it continues on. But it's us.
Is anyone in the room that went to Selma? I mean, in 1965. Is anybody here who was at Bloody Sunday? Anybody?
Was it 63 at the march?
65. Was anybody here at, oh, we have some?
I was born and raised in Selma, Alabama. I was there. This is a very emotional thing for me because I was there for most of it. I wasn't there on Bloody Sunday, nor was I there the next Sunday. But my sisters and brothers was a part of that group going across the British Bridge. So this is emotional for me. I lived through the SNCC part because I was a member of that in 61. In 62, I graduated high school and moved to New York. So I didn't go back for Bloody Sunday, but I was there and lived through a lot of what went on in Selma, and this is emotional for me. It is something that will always be with me, and my sisters and some of my brothers, they will be going back in March to the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in here who ever had the pleasure of meeting or having a conversation with Dr. King?
Right here.
Oh, wow. Can we hear from you?
Hello, my name is Winifred Bullard, and I'm originally from Marion, South Carolina. And getting back to your original question, yes, I met Dr. King while I was a student at Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. I did participate in the demonstration because when we got to Allen, we realized that we were college students. So therefore, in following Dr. King's philosophy, we realized that we should be treated equally, that we should not have to sit at the back door in order to eat a sandwich. We should not have to sit up in the balcony in order to see a movie. And I'm trying to make this as short as I can. So therefore, we demonstrated, we marched down to the movie, we bought our tickets, and we sat. At that time, students, there was a white-only section and a color-only section, and we chose to sit in the white-only section. And when we sat in the white-only section, the ticket agent came over and told us that we had to sit upstairs with the coloreds. Yes, during my day, first we were colored, then we were Negro, and then we were African American. So we told him that our ticket was not stamped, sit upstairs. And we said we came as a group and we would go to jail as a group. And they told us that they would call the law and they were going to take us to jail. Lo and behold, when the law came, which was the police, they did not take us to jail. They took us to South Carolina Penitentiary. we were taken there with the criminals. But we were not afraid. We joined hands and we sang, as we had heard from Dr. King, "We shall overcome." And while we were singing "We shall overcome," a black guard came in and whispered to our leader that Dr. King had heard about us. He had heard that we had been taken to the penitentiary. And that morning, as we sang all night long, that morning Dr. King came, and he came to our cells. And we got a chance to meet him. He hugged each of us, and he told us that he was very proud of us, and he was very proud of us being a part of the March for Social Justice. And he told us to carry on the march because we shall overcome. And that's why I was inspired to come here today and see Selma, because of all the things that's going on in our nation now. I was also inspired when I saw those young people saying, "Hands up." So therefore, I say, hands up, we shall overcome.
One day, when the glory comes,